That grants too. So should I call someone?
Same number.
Can I get that number?
All right, so we have old business on the agenda.
Take one.
2208.
This
This
is
is Mike.
That's you.
Thank you. All right. But I'll be in contact.
All right. Take care.
Oh, okay. Right here.
Under old business, we have docket number 2009-2014. We have applicant Norma King. This is in reference to 1724 Deborah Ann Lee. The parcel number is 672-11004. And I believe we have a representative here on behalf of Norma King. You can state your name for the record.
Norman King.
Is there a Norma?
So I'd just like to say before we even start discussion, there were some questions about parcels that Norma King requested to purchase on Deborah Ann Lane. And there was somebody else who came in, I can't remember who else.
Clifton Bugs.
Clifton Bugs, who came in and said that he actually made a request for that property about a year ago. Yeah. And so I'd like to see Mr. Wallace to talk about what she found.
According to our record, Clifton Bugs, on May 23rd, 2012, he actually applied for parcel 1712, Deborah Ann Lee. That parcel was 672-1102. It was not 1724 Deborah Ann Lee. So there was no pending application for that parcel.
The chair recognizes Michael Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Just some historical reference for these parcels. Several years ago, while Greg Reese was the director of the library, requested that buildings be demolished for the purposes of expanding the lots for the library. Cuyahoga County Land Bank took possession of those properties, demolished those properties, but Greg Reese left, and in his departure, the leadership of the library never sought the acquisition through donation of those lots. The county land bank only keep property into their land bank under their possession for a period of 12 months, and then they get it out, especially vacant lots. As a result of their policy, they donated those lots to the city of East Cleveland. They just changed possession of it. And it's been sitting in our land bank for the last few years. The reason I give out this historic reference is because the intent of the property was to be donated to the library. The library took no action, and then a private individual asked for the purchase of that property, and they went through the NAC, our land bank property, followed every requirement under the ordinance in order to make it to this room. So the reason I give you all of this is because there are competing interests over this property, and there is original intent versus what is currently before you, and you should consider that in your recommendation. I suggested you do. You're not required to do so, but I suggested you do.
Is there any comment from
This time, we just like to keep the property clean and nice. We do a good job on the street above Deborah Ann Lane. We like to acquire the property in the back of the property or land.
Where is Norma?
Councilman King?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I and Ms. Reese have had numerous conversations regarding the properties in the back of the lot, in the back of our house. Ms. Rice. Pardon me.
Dr. Rice.
Ms. Rice, Dr. Rice, as you prefer. So she sent me an email a couple days ago, which I responded to, and I'd like to actually read it into the record, my response to it. And here is a copy of it, Mr. Chairman. So, it reads as follows. Hey, Ms. Rice, I hope things are well with you. Thank you for sending out this email. It's a great idea to get this in writing. I did speak with the principal owners, and we are all in the same accord that community education and services provided by the library should be the top priority regarding this land. I am confident that if deemed necessary, a legal document stipulating things could be created. Per our meeting, and we did have a meeting, we discussed a number of options. One option, the East Cleveland Library would immediately move to take ownership of the parcels. With this option, all appraisal monies will be reimbursed. Provide receipts, of course. The second option is the land bank process will carry on, transferring the parcels to the applicant, and if the library desired to acquire the land at a later date, the applicant would agree to sell the property at cost, plus hard costs, to the library, right? And then I make a note that hard costs include a parking lot and don't include maintenance of the land.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Hard costs would be a parking lot, paving the land, as opposed to just cutting the grass. That's not a hard cost. So we would give the property, we would sell the property to the library at our cost. We wouldn't make money on it.
That's their property.
The other option, the third option, and it includes multiple options, include shared use, lease options, or easements. And then I make a note, this option takes into account that the library is not in the business of owning and or managing real property. It's not what they do. It appears to be in line with other land use that is used by the library. Not sure if you're aware, but there's a parcel that's owned by the city that's being used by the library, according to the county. It is worth noting, let's see.
The county also says that they don't own the property. There's a lot of county documents.
And the library will
That's an
would
accounting
allow the
document.
library to better focus on what the library does. Mr. Smith. And that's providing information and resources to the community. In regards to the upcoming Neighborhood Advisory Committee meeting, I believe it's a matter of formality, and I applaud Ms. Wallace, Building and Housing, and the NAC Board for moving properties through the process. Please keep in mind that acquiring properties through the land bank process has been a problematic matter for some time in our city. It is also worth mentioning that the applicant has fulfilled the necessary requirements, made expenditures, and is entitled to due process. In closing, we stand ready to accommodate the needs of you and the East Cleveland Public Library.
What you're charging them.
I noticed William Van Rose's hand up, a board member of the library, and then.
Yes, thank you. I appreciated your historical background information, Mr. Smedley, and would say further that the time period in which we're talking, Mr. Smedley's comments about the future plans for the land behind the library. One, do any documents pertaining to what he spoke of exist? And two, in that historical piece was the plan, though not so public, to simply give the library system over to the county. And so what I mean by that is that the way that complicated things during this period of time that we're talking about is as a board member, I knew nothing of the land behind the library being willed by the city, even in conversation at all. There were players around the library and the county that didn't want us to know, and I refer to us as trustees, and understand that 2 whole waves of trustees simply resigned from the library board. So that when I came onto the library board shortly after, the board constitution was completely new. So there was a chopping off of prior things in the hopper at that point. They left angry, and they left burying information, critical information for the new library board to consider. So there was a sabotage, if you will, on that. You know, as the longest sitting trustee on the current board, I knew nothing of this. And I'm asking the city to, if it can, research to find documentation to support what Mr. Smedley talked about in this meeting. And that, I would find that critical. And the former interim director was part of a sabotaging group of people who wouldn't share information with the brand new incoming board. As you might recall, 7 members resigned within days of one another because that former board was in line with giving the library to the county. They did not want a public vote or even public discussion. They thought they were going to get away with it. Didn't happen. Certain people in the community saw it before it came to be and blocked it as best they could and was successful. So that's the end to the information that Mr. Smedley provided. And I'll say it's still not completely resolved. This involved the county of Cuyahoga and the leadership in Cuyahoga County. You know, the people who are serving prison times now for their dealings, illegal dealings. All of that is part of this story. And with that, I'll conclude. I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Okay, we're going to go to Dr. Rice first.
If he wanted to address, I'll yield and I'll come after you.
Thank you. A simple phone call to Cheryl Stevens at the County Land Bank, who
Take rent.
you flipping it?
It's full.
So simple phone call to Cheryl Stevens, who administered the Cuyahoga County Land Bank funds for the demolition of that property, is suffice. And you know, if the NAC chooses to do that, if you choose not to do that, that's your prerogative. If anyone who chooses to research it and provide provide that information, that's their prerogative. I'd just like to remind the NAC that you are to review the applicant's his application to see if he qualifies to purchase property through the land bank based on his ability to pay for it, and that applicant does not owe any back taxes. And then you determine you look at the best use of the property. And those are really the criteria that you follow. If you choose to look at the historical information that was supplied today to determine an alternate use, it's well within your prerogative to postpone the meeting to get all the information to determine what's the highest and best use, and you want to make a recommendation based off of that's also your prerogative. If you want to bring some finality to this issue, you can either recommend or not recommend. But in the pursuit of what the county land bank, not Cuyahoga County government, but the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, who had all the jurisdiction over this because they took possession of the property, they demolished the property, they paid for the demolition, and they were going to donate that property. When that did not happen, they gave it to the city, which made it available through the land bank process by which Norma King accessed legally. She determined her qualifications, which has been determined by Building and Housing, and they wouldn't be here before you. And they are eligible to purchase that property without any restriction because they followed the process to the fullest extent. So you have choices that you should make if you need
Where's
to.
Norma King?
It is also your prerogative to postpone it so that you can have a separate discussion amongst yourselves to determine what is the next best course of action. So you're not pressured in making a decision here. You can weigh more information. You can take all the information before you make a decision. I just wanted to enlighten you on what your options are.
Thank you so very much for everyone who has concern about this property. Quite naturally, the East Cleveland Public Library wants these lots, every one of them. And let me just say, I didn't know anything about the email until I came here to this meeting. Mr. King was unable to get his email to work to be able to respond to my email. And I'm real sorry about that because if I'd have known that, I would have brought my copy of my email as well so that you can see. We did meet. He was a wonderful gentleman. We met on the 18th of August. I had a chance to walk the lots and to talk with not only him, but also Mr. Bugs and also other neighbors back there as well. I would share this. The library, really, we don't need any intermediary. We're not, we're in the business of providing programs for the citizens of East Cleveland of all ages. Those lots would help us to be able to continue our goals. Secondly, I'm just real concerned because when I walked on the 18th, the lot had not been cleaned since the last time our custodians cleaned the lot. We cleaned it because we had a couple programs that summer that involved bringing the children and the community. And we wanted it clean because we didn't want our children out there to see all of that. But it needs a lot more than what our custodians could do. We're going to have to hire people to come in and clean that lot for us. But we have no problem. We're willing to do all that is necessary for our property. Just as the library is well maintained, we'll maintain the lots. Lastly, I'll tell you, I am concerned about how things are done and were done. If there wasn't a concerned citizen who sent the flyer to me regarding the last meeting that you had with those properties on Deborah and I never would have known about it. The library was not on the list to receive it. That to me was suspect. It truly was. It may have just been an oversight and whatever, and that is indeed possible. But you can see my concern and how I feel not being notified that you were meeting on the property right directly behind the library. I did not know about the Calhoun Land Bank until Mr. Smedley mentioned it last time that we were here. I truly appreciate the historical perspective because that allows us some opportunity to research further. The library wants choice A in your email. We are ready to reimburse you your costs that you have expended because that is no more than right to be able to do that. But we want the land, whatever we have to do, however we have to do it. That's all I can say.
Mr. King?
I'd appreciate everyone's remarks here. And Ms. Rice, we have no problem, as I stated in the email, and I wanted to make it part of the record, we have no problem.
Just a matter of respect.
Mary
I
Rice,
have earned
Dr.
doctorate.
Rice.
I have earned.
I apologize.
Kind of
I
miss.
have some PhDs who don't want to be called doctor because they're not medical doctors, so forgive me.
Oh my God, that is insanity.
Excuse me.
What I'd like to say in regards to this property, right? And Mr. Smedley said that it's been sitting in the land bank. Anyone could have researched it and got it. And until I came forward, or Norma King came forward to acquire it, not everybody wants it. No problem, right? We wouldn't stand in the way of educating the city kids. We wouldn't stand in the way of that. What I would ask from the NAC, because the original application had 4 parcels, I would ask that you move this parcel so that it is in line with the other 4 parcels, and then we can sort it out from there, as opposed to having 3 parcels over here, 1 parcel here, but the application had 4 parcels on it. So I would ask that you move it so that it's in line with the other parcel.
Dr. Rice, are you confident? Is that something that you'll be happy with?
Yeah, if you put all four of them together, definitely. And there's an additional one as well that it will be moving through the land bank process from my understanding. The last time I talked with one of the county that us, and we want them all. So, and we plan to be a good neighbor to everyone on Elsinore, on Deborah Ann Lane, whatever. You know, that's what the library is for.
So Dr. Rice, I would like to say this.
Yes.
Well, number one, this NAC board, we operate as a volunteer
Yes.
capacity. We have, each one of us in our own right, anything, has done nothing but try to contribute to this community, do the right thing. And so, I don't know what happened in the I guess within the getting information out about the properties being for sale, that kind of thing. But so there's no ill will on us, and we didn't have any ill intent. And I think if you meet and talk with us and see some of the stuff that all of us been involved in, Hank Smith, Mr. Pope, Lionel, myself, we are outstanding citizens that have been really trying to actually move the city forward. And so please accept that in the spirit of love. This is what we're here for. This process right here, we were elected for this process. Trust me, we think that there should be some adjustments or some type of change in how the bureaucracy works within, but that's actually up to council, not us. But we're here trying to move properties through because we know that we should make it easy for properties to transfer out of the city's hands into private owners because the city doesn't have the capacity to maintain these properties.
Yes.
And so with that being said, what our desire is, well at least my desire is for myself and the board, they can chime in if they want. We want to make this we want to make the best decision for the community as well. At the same time, respecting the rights of the individuals who go out and purchase properties. And so, if you're happy with if Brandon King acquires a property and you trust him enough to reimburse, exchange for the reimbursement at cost of what he's done, then if that's something, I just want that to be acknowledged right now. Is that something that you?
Choice A that he said for the library to acquire the property. We agree that all four of the lots should be there together by all means. All he has to do is produce to me the receipts. I'll turn them into our board. They'll be paid for. But I came prepared because I thought we were under the understanding that he would not pursue the lots any further. I thought. I may have been mistaken. After all, when you get in your 60s, things don't always seem okay. But I had thought.
Yes, speak for yourself.
I had thought that was the way it was going to be. And believe me, by the library not getting the flyer letting us know about your meeting, the thought did go in the back of my mind, but believe me, I know that each one of you are fine, upstanding men. I have heard many good things about the majority of you here. There's only one person in here who I don't know anything about, but the rest, I inquired because I wanted to know, are these people on one side or are they on the other side? And everyone has said that they believe that you were fair and upstanding individuals and that you'll do what is right. And that's what for all good men of conscience to do what is conscionable.
I appreciate that. The chair recognizes Chief of Staff.
So within the ordinance, within the policy of the land bank, when there's a piece of property that was up for sale, the city is supposed to send out a notice to everyone. How the library didn't get one, I don't have the slightest idea, right? Don't have the slightest idea. But the city doesn't care who buys the property as long as they follow they qualify to buy it. And two, the use of it is for, it isn't of, doesn't bring down that street, the neighborhood of the city. So, we don't, people who put in their applications, our process was so screwed up, and Ms. Wallace can attest to it because she's been working with it. We've had applications in process for 2 years just to buy a simple lot because how the law is constructed, what the process is, and it just sucks. So if you didn't get it, a complete oversight. It wasn't, the city didn't choose one side or the other. Trust me, getting down vacant houses is more important than who buys
Oh, I
a lot.
agree.
So
I agree.
our priorities are in the right place. You know, only thing we can do is apologize and promise to do better, and we have been doing better in this process. The reason that I brought the historical information because I knew none of you knew about it.
That's right.
And I knew that the original intent of the demolitions was they spent several $100,000 was to expand the library. Now, and you know, personally, I have my own personal opinions about that, but it's not necessary to be shared here. But the perspective is important,
Yes,
and the actions that have been taken by the library, I think, has been appropriate because several $100,000 was spent on behalf. But you can't blame Norma King because she followed the process. The library did not act in a timely manner, and that land went from the county land bank to the city land bank, which makes it eligible to any person as long as they follow the law and they qualify. Norma King did not do anything wrong. She followed the rules, period. She followed the rules, and you know, and that's that.
And you know, I don't know Norma King, but I heard two sons, a fine, upstanding young man. When I met with Brendan, Mr. King, I'm sorry. When I met with him, I thought he was a fine gentleman, and I still do, as I did in my email. And I think all of the library board members can tell you when I sent out an email, I spoke very highly of you in our meeting, and I still do. I just want that land, point blank. You know, no if, no yes, nobody, because the library needs it.
So let's move to this because we want to move to a solution.
4 times I've raised my hand.
Okay, just hold for 1 second. So we want to move to a solution to this particular issue because I guess the issue now is because the city because of the process that we have, you know, if people are interested in lands, they have to pay for the purchase. And so there has to be, and I'll take recommendations, and maybe this is something for maybe an executive session, but how do we streamline the process to make sure that the King family gets reimbursed for the appraisals that they took?
To me, it's very simple. If the library is willing to reimburse Norma King for the cost of the appraisal, then she should do that. And I will recommend to the NAC the donation of the property to the library because that was the original intent of those demolitions taking place. You can add that to your agenda right now and vote for the donation of those properties to go to the library, contingent on the reimbursement of the appraisal. And that's that. And then we'll create the piece of legislation. It'll go to City Council. City Council will vote on whether or not we can donate the land to the library.
We're meeting on the 15th. Bring your receipts. We'll pay you.
Is there a motion on the table?
I have tried 6 times now to be recognized.
Yeah.
6 times.
Yeah. Patricia, I'm trying to move this. I'm trying to move this forward.
Doctor.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Patricia Blahovia.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the table? Is there a motion on the table?
Let me see. I just had a question about some more discussion, Dr. Rice. I've walked up and down that street and I looked at that property. You know, it's a lot of overgrown properties. It looks real bad. You know, it's been like that for a long time. Now,
it's owned by the city, by the way.
It's owned
not
by
anybody's responsibility but the city's to maintain.
Right. So if you acquire that, if the library acquires that property, you gonna do you have plans to build on it or just maintain it?
I'm only one person. I can't speak for the 7, but I can tell you the discussions that we have had. Firstly, we wanted to expand our parking lot. That's first.
Okay.
Second, since I've walked that, we have talked with the custodians, and we know that we have to hire a company to come in and clean it up for us. because it's a lot. The man was talking about the trees and overgrown. There are boulders and rocks and you name it.
It's bad.
There's some stuff out, tires, the whole 9 yards people have put out there. The custodians that we have, when we have programs, they've gone out, with one of those sling things and tried to sling some of that down, but they won't run our mowers over because it's too much stuff out there.
So you, first of all, you're going to expand the parking lot.
Yes, sir. That's
we all know that that's really a need down there.
Oh, believe me.
So you expand the parking lot. It's 3 lots there. There's 4 lots there. But as far as building on it, do you plan any building? Oh.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, the board has discussed, see, the charter of the library is that it's a library system to begin with, and some of us here know that there were 2 additional branches to the library that were shut down in terms of getting ready to give our library to the county, which insults me, quite honestly. But the thing is this, that the library trustee board has discussed the other portion of that charter, which is not only a library system, but a museum. Our library is chartered so that it can also be a museum. And we've discussed building a museum near the building that's there now. And so we can, do skywalks and all kind of things like other libraries do. The thing is, we need the land. So my vision on the immediate property would, one, be to expand the parking lot, and I would add like the parking lot. If you were to ask me, certainly that's been discussed by the Board of Trustees. But the library is no eyesore. The library is the gem of East Cleveland. And I don't know if you've ever been in the auditorium or other areas of the library, but that library is the nicest building inside the city, save from the grave. And so that won't change. We'll do what's right with the library itself and with the land that we acquire around the world.
And just one quick comment, the Ichabod Fluellen. I invite this whole entire room to come over and look at our collection and how we have to keep changing, because we only have one room. We have to keep changing every so many months and bring the stuff from the attic down so that people can see. That's a wonderful collection that we own. Down the road, yes, we want a museum. Can you imagine? Ichabod Fluellen he is more respected worldwide for his collection. We have a great deal of that in the library. For people to say, I invite you, come take a look. That library is a gem, and we want to make it a star. So anyway, that's my last comment.
So just like, because we want to get things moving, I'm gonna recognize Patricia.
Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Patricia Black. Oh yeah, and just to sort of like, and I don't have to, but I just want to explain. I wanted to keep the conversations to the institutions that are listening, even though you're part of the school board, just so that we can actually tackle this today and actually come to some type of absolution. So if you can go ahead and then we will call for the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. I was actually quite surprised that it took me 8 times trying to be recognized in order to be recognized.
Just speak up, I can't hear you.
I was just saying I found it surprising that it took me 8 times to try to be recognized by Mr. Hart. I've been concerned about getting information to the library and have been actively trying to make sure that Dr. Rice got that information. I feel both as a personal resident and in my role as a school board member and in my role as a member of a library. I must say I don't speak for the school board because we haven't had a vote on this. But I am 100% sure that our school board would support any activity of the library to obtain the land, to choose to use it for parking, to choose to use it for a museum. to use it for any valid educational purpose, which would also benefit the school system by improving the education of the community.
All right, so I think Brandon had his hand up. Did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to reiterate primarily to the library. We have no problem with you owning the land, but we recognize that the library is not in the business of real estate and managing property. We are. We could acquire the land. Remember, there are 2 parcels, a 3rd parcel that is working its way through the process to become into the land bank, and then 2 more parcels. So they sit like this. We would have no problem acquiring all the land, maintaining the land. Because you said it's going to cost the library money to maintain it. We would acquire it, maintain it, and then at a later date, give it to the library at the cost. We have no problem with that, but that would take some of the pressure off of the library. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a parcel that I'm not sure if the city owns it or the arrangement with the city, but the county has it listed as a city property, but the library is using it. So that's not out of line with what the library currently does with its land use. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Thank you.
The suggested motion that I have is to